So here's the deal. As a professional detailer, one of the worst things that you can do for your vehicle's paint is to take it through the automatic car wash with brushes. Now, once or twice isn't going to do that much damage, but if it's your primary way of washing your vehicle like it is for this Audi, it's going to do quite a bit of damage, not only from the strong soaps they use, but from the brushes that aren't cleaned properly that eventually are just going to abrade off your very thin clear coat and leave behind a ton of swirls and scratches. But if your vehicle is starting to look like this, or maybe you just enjoy a really good transformation video, keep watching because I'm going to share with you guys my process and some of the products that I would use to remove some of this damage and restore gloss and shine to this vehicle. Now, first, let's go ahead and get set up. We are washing in direct sunlight, so always we're going to try to work in the shade with our canopy. And let's start the detail by tackling these grimy wheels. This stuff stinks odor-wise, but is such a phenomenal wheel cleaner. We sprayed this on. In fact, I might make sure I get it all over everything, because this stuff cleans really well even without any sort of contact. These wheels are pretty bad. We're going to go ahead and just do a high pressure rinse, no contact. I always will use this stuff on really bad wheels because it cleans just so well. It's got thicker lubrication, so now when we come in and do our brushes, I've knocked a lot of that brake dust off. It's gonna just be safer on the wheels. We'll come in and use our brush now, and you can just see how much more purple reaction we have just from cleaning these kind of inner wheel barrels, but we're not having as much on our wheel faces because it cleans just with chemical and water alone. I get asked by you guys, what is one product that I use on every single detail? And it's this product right here, Dark Fury. Whether I'm using it for tires and wheels or wheel wells or to touchless clean door jambs, that is one staple that I will always have a gallon of in my shop. And for those of you that might be wondering, why did she rinse the one wheel and not this one? I just wanted to demonstrate for you that you don't always have to rinse the chemical off before you come in and brush. Now, this is probably not as safe on the paint. So for those of you that, especially if you have black wheels where you want to be mindful of swirls and scratches, you might want to spray your cleaner, rinse, and then clean. But typically you can just spray your cleaner and scrub. It's just going to make a lot more mess and possibly induce a little bit more damage to the clear coat because you're braiding all of that brake dust into the clear. And speaking of being mindful of dirt being rubbed into our paint, first we did our foaming pre-soak with Multi-Star to rinse off all of that dirt. But after we did our high pH foaming pre-soak, we then came in with active foam to do our contact wash. Now, I can use Multi-Star, but I find active foam has a little bit more lubrication than Multi-Star because I'm going to use that same soapy water for my contact wash, and after rinsing it off, I'm going to do a clay towel treatment to decontaminate the paint. And after we rinse, you can see it took about an hour for me to do a wash as well as a decontamination. But as much as we've been able to clean it and restore some gloss and shine to this paint, it can be even better. So we're going to go ahead and figure out what combination of pad and polish we need to enrich this color and remove some of this damage. So we do have some pretty severe swirls on this vehicle. We do have some deeper scratches as well, or what we would call random isolated deep scratches. It's a fun acronym for RIDS. But majority of these swirls are caused by how the customer is actually maintaining the vehicle. If they're taking their vehicle through an automatic car wash with brushes, these brushes will definitely do severe swirls on your paint to the point that over time, as they accumulate, it can almost resemble that of holograms from a rotary. Now, these are pretty easy to remove when they are fine swirls like this. Deeper scratches, things like that, you might need a more aggressive approach, pad, and polish. But a majority of the time, swirls like this are going to be created on your paint by how you're washing it. Like I said, an automatic car wash, or it could be that you're using a sea sponge or a brush at home, maybe a terry towel. I've seen some people, they'll just grab a bucket, throw maybe a gallon of water in there, some soap, and they don't really do a thorough rinse of their vehicle. They're just kind of taking all of the dirt that's on their vehicle, abrading it into the paint, because when you think about what is dirt,
It's microscopic rock chips, and you're taking all of that and just abrading it into your vehicle. The number one way that you can prevent swirls and scratches on your paint is by having protection on your vehicle. If you're not frequently waxing your vehicle or don't have a sealant or a ceramic coating on there, dirt's gonna stick. You're gonna have to be more aggressive to remove that dirt. The whole point of protection on your vehicle is, for one, UV protection to prevent oxidation and fading, kind of like sunburn on your paint. But two, it's gonna make maintenance easier. It's like a protective layer over top of your clear coat. Dirt is not going to want to stick to it as quickly. It will come off with high pressure water, and then from there, you can do a safer wash method. You also want to combine steps like a high lubricating soap. You want a microfiber wash mitt. You want to start at the top, work your way down. You can rinse your pad after every panel and flip your pad after every panel. So that way you have a fresh side for each panel, starting at the top, working your way down. Then when you're done rinsing the vehicle, have a microfiber drying towel. Don't use a beach towel, squeegee, ShamWow. And if you can, throw in a ceramic drying aid or some sort of drying aid. What that's gonna do is, one, replenish your protection, and it's gonna give you extra lubrication as you dry. Should there be dirt or dust left behind, it's not going to have as much tendency of being scratched into your paint because you've got a little bit of cushion with that drying aid. So those are some simple steps that you can do. Avoid the automatic car wash, have the right soap, wash media, drying media, maybe a drying aid, and you're gonna be able to preserve your finish on your vehicle. Now, if you want the ultimate protection, a ceramic coating. Far more durable than a wax or sealant, and honestly, they almost self-clean the vehicle for you. You go through a rain shower, it's like a free car wash. So for those of you that might be struggling, you might want to consider a ceramic coating. But I understand it's not in everyone's budget, and sometimes you just can only do what you can do. So for this customer, what we're gonna do is a quick paint enhancement. I'm not chasing every swirl and scratch. He really just wants me to remove the holograms, and so we're gonna be able to do that with a paint enhancement. And then we're going to put a durable sealant on top of it for the customer. The ideal situation would be a coating, but again, we're just going to work within the customer's budget, give him something that's going to help make maintenance easier and prevent this from happening in the future.
Because the customer has a limited budget, we're trying to keep this as a one step. That means we're not having to do a heavy correction and then a polish. We're trying to correct and finish down in one step. We're gonna start off with Rupes Uno Advanced. This will polish the paint as well as add protection. If we can do both steps in one, that's gonna make my life a whole lot easier. After doing our test spot, you can see this is our before and after. Our paint is enriched, but it didn't do a whole lot in correction. Audi paint typically is on the harder side. Even using a yellow foam pad and a medium polish like the Rupes Uno Advanced, it didn't do a ton of correction. So we're gonna step it up with the DIY Detail, their gold waffle pad, and their gold standard polish. Whenever you're doing your test spot, this can sometimes be the most frustrating part because you're trying out a bunch of products to see which ones are going to give you the results that you're looking for. Gold standard, while typically it works for most vehicle makes, on this hard paint, again, it wasn't making much of a dent. So after wiping that off, we actually stepped up our pad. We went back to the Rupes Uno Advanced, but we used the Rupes Wool Polishing Pad. On this hard paint, this should almost make my DA polisher act like a rotary and give me much more correction. But my biggest concern is that it's not gonna finish down well enough.
I feel like we're leaving a little bit of a haze. Definitely better correction though. Way better correction. You know what? I'm gonna try this.
I was really trying to stick within the Rupes polishing system because I wanted to kind of see what they were capable of doing. We stepped it up to the yellow pad and their yellow polish. Now, I didn't want to necessarily go the route of the blue pad and the blue polish because it's more of a compound and I was concerned that we wouldn't finish down properly enough. So I was trying to stick within that kind of medium polish world to see if we could get the correction. But again, we were struggling to make a dent on this really hard paint.
I know. Paint is just a bugger. Come on, man. It sucks. Here. It's
Since the wool polishing pad gave us better correction, we're gonna go over the rest of the hood with that pad so that way we have a consistent appearance. But my biggest concern is that we finish down properly without micro marring, but I also can't do this to the rest of the vehicle because again, it's not in his budget to do a two-step.
Breaking out some other stuff. Platinum polish. Let's try a blue pad. And try our platinum hybrid polish.
This is one of my favorite products to use on hard paint with major defects. It's a diminishing abrasive, so it's going to start off with really great correction, and the longer you work the polish, the better it will finish down.
Finish down nice. Better correction. I mean, this paint is hammered, but we don't have haze or marring. You can tell a definitive difference where I stopped and started. This has kind of a duller appearance. I'll bring you in to see. So here's our section that we did our wool pad. It's got just a little bit of a haze to it. And how can I tell? Well, when I come over here, you can see kind of, we have a darker appearance to our paint with the platinum polish. It handles harder paints better, has a good bit of bite to it, but finishes down well because again, it's that hybrid polish. But then over here, you can just see a little bit of that haze to the paint. You're not gonna be able to really see it until I pull it out in the light. And then once you get it out into the sunlight, you would really be able to see that. So I like to see this darker color to our paint. That means I can do this in one step. Again, 10 to 40% correction is what we're going for with a paint enhancement. One step, correct and finish down properly. We found our combo. Blue pad, platinum hybrid polish is the winning ticket. We're gonna go around the entire vehicle, and then we'll probably just end up doing something like a C2B3, a little bit more durable for the customer, but it's really easy for me to apply. So we got about 45 minutes. We're gonna punch this out.
So we spent way more time than I would have liked just trying to figure out what combination was gonna work for this paint. And you might be thinking, there's a ton of defects still left on that paint. Yeah, that's kind of the point. A paint enhancement or one-step polish, however you want to phrase it, it's not necessarily going to perfect the paint. And sometimes that's not the best for the paint because whenever you chase every single swirl and scratch, you're removing a ton of clear coat off the vehicle. You might be able to do that 2 or 3 times, but if you're constantly overzealous with removing scratches, you're going to remove too much UV protection that's in the clear coat that you're setting the customer up for issues like oxidation, which can eventually lead to clear coat failure, or worse, you could burn through the paint. So I'm not chasing my ego in this moment. More than anything, I just want to clean up the paint, make it look better for the customer, restore gloss and shine, and I think we were able to do that. When the customer dropped off his vehicle in the morning for me to correct, I was honestly a little skeptical that we were going to be able to do enough to help bring back gloss and shine to this paint on his limited budget. But even with just one step, you can see just how desperate this paint was to have some polishing oils put back in to restore that deep black color. And while we didn't remove every single scratch that was on the paint, you don't need to. You can see even just one step or a paint enhancement, we were able to take years off of the vehicle's life without compromising the paint. The customer was blown away when he came to pick it up. He said it looked better than new because realistically, most customers, they don't see all of the defects that a detailer is going to see. But hopefully you guys enjoy this realistic approach to paint correction. And if you guys enjoy content like this, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for all of our future details. But we'll see you guys in the next detail.